So here is the lamp. I have put one coat of paint on it, and I am going to be decoupaging this. I wasn't really too worried about creating a full coverage over this because I'm going to be covering it with decoupage papers, and it's going to be kind of a collage idea. So this one here is from the new label masterboard that is from the July 2023 release. And then the other one I'm going to be using is called the Fall Botanical Project blocks. And I'm going to be using both of those on this project. And so what I did here is I took one of them from the label masterboard paper, and I'm going to be taking some more with this as well. I'm going to be using a little bit of water on a paintbrush to wet cut out some of these labels. I'm going to be using more of the ones that have some typography on them, and these are going to be what I put on first to be almost like a background on the lamp as I add other birds and flowers and things like that from the other paper. But to get started, I'm going to be using just these labels as the background. So I'm going to cut them out first, and then I will be adding them onto the lamp. And when I say I'm wet cutting paper, some people may not quite know what that means, but basically what I do is I take a small artist brush and see how the edges are kind of rough on here. I did not want it to be a straight cut like I would with scissors. So I take my little brush, get it wet, and then I use that to almost draw a line around the area that I want to kind of cut out, but I really don't need to cut it because this weakens the fibers in the paper, and then I can just kind of rip it, but it gives it a neat edge that I can use to decoupage with. Instead of making it a real sharp edge, it gives it more of that rough cut look. So I did that with a number of labels, and then I get them ready for decoupaging. What I like about this set is that each label, they're really copied from old vintage labels. Some of them are for like things from apothecary or pharmacy type of items. Some are for tea or food items. Some are for garden things. So this is kind of a fun background for the next paper that will have the birds and the flowers and mushrooms and things like that. All right, now I am ready to get decoupaging, and the product that I like to use is the Liquid Patina by DIY Paint. It's called Liquid Patina Crystal Clear Chandelier, and it's perfect for this because it will dry clearly. I'm going to be using this grip brush. It's got a nice angled head on it, synthetic bristles, and it's a thinner brush so it doesn't leave too much of the liquid patina, but it leaves it in a nice smooth coat. So what I'm going to do here is just add some liquid patina and place these labels randomly around on this lamp just to give it kind of the background that I'm looking for before I add the birds and floral decorations. So again, if you know me, I forgot to bring my plastic wrap or saran wrap down with me when I did this video. So what I'm using here is just a plastic grocery bag. But I like to use something like that to smooth out the edges, smooth out the wrinkles and bubbles on the paper. So I put the light coat of liquid patina down, then I put the paper over top of that, smooth out the edges, and then do a quick coat over top of it just to make sure that all the edges are sealed and pressed down and make good contact with the lamp. So I'm just continuing to work my way around the lamp. I also like to look at where the cord is on the lamp so that I know what is the front, what is going to be facing out and front of the lamp. But because this is going to be really filled with all kinds of papers, I'm not too concerned, but once I get to the part where I have the accent papers, I'm going to be a little bit more specific about placement of them. But for now, I'm just working my way around and creating the background. The shape of this label is round, so I'm trying to find a spot that I think it just sets it apart a little bit. It's a different shape than the others, and I like to get different shapes in there. I did the little nest as well. Some of the other labels were more squares and rectangles, but it's fun to add some different shapes in here. Now it's time for this second paper, and this is the one that I was saying has the different birds and some fun mushrooms and florals. It also has some labels as well, but this one has a little bit more of the design patterns that I wanted to accent on the lamp. It's called the Roycycled Fall Botanical Project blocks. And so what I'm doing here is I'm putting my brush into a Ziploc bag because I'm going to be going back to using the liquid patina again, and instead of washing it out, I'm just going to put it in my Ziploc because I'm going to use it in a few more minutes. So now I'm looking at the different designs on here, and then I'm also looking at the areas on the lamp and where I want to fill in, what I want to accent. And again, I'm going to wet cut around. This is a bird with the nest and the little babies, and so I cut around that, and then because it's on the edge of the page or the paper, it has a straight edge there. And so again, I'm going to take just that edge and soften it a little bit so that it's not quite as straight. I don't want it to be so blunt. So I'll take that and wet cut that edge as well. I cut out a bunch of different shapes, and then I will be adding a little bit of white paint to the background, and you'll see that in a minute. So now I'm going to take a thin mount, and we're going to use this as I paint the back of the pieces that I want to accent. So the birds, the mushrooms, the flowers, I want them to stand out above and be the top layer over top of the labels that I already placed on the lamp. And to do that, I'm going to lightly wet them with a fine mist spray bottle and place them on the thin mount, and then that water will allow them to stick to the thin mount but not be stuck. So I will be able to remove them, but it makes them lay flat. And so I'm placing them on the thin mount, and then what I'm going to do is, you can use any white paint. I'm just going to be using Cotton White by Farmhouse Paint and a small artist brush to just paint the backs of these so that the bright color of the paper will show through, and it will just allow it to stand out as the top layer above these labels. I used my heat gun just to speed up the process a little bit, and just used it on the back of these to quickly dry them so that I could continue on with the project. But you could let them sit over time and they would dry pretty quickly, but I just wanted to speed up the process, so I used my heat gun. And then what I do is I slowly peel them off of the thin mount. The only reason that they stick is a little bit is because the paint maybe on the edge is sticking, but the paper itself is not sticking because I just used clean water to have them lay flat on that thin mount. So now I'm flipping them over. You can see the designs that I chose, and I will be placing them on the lamp, figuring out how I want them to just fit in the design. As I fit these larger pieces into some blank areas where there's space to fit them into, I'll do that, and then as time goes on, you'll see me creating more of a collage type of look with smaller pieces. This is where you can just get creative, really look at the different patterns and styles and designs of the paper. And I chose to use these two papers, but you really could add almost any paper you want and really be creative with it. So I continue to do this, and I'll speed up the process. Don't get bored with the just layering and layering of papers. But you will see as I get to the next part of the video how just adding more and more paper really brings this almost to a mosaic type of look. Okay, that is finished, and you can see how it almost looks like a little bit of a mosaic, right? So now what I'm doing is I'm just taking a glaze, because the base of this was a dark brown wood. I had painted it in elephant hide and just did 2 really good coats, and so it was just full coverage. And now what I'm doing is just adding this tea stain glaze to the base, and that's going to just highlight those areas of the wood that were kind of carved out, or there's routing, I should say, in that. So it's like a routed edge, and you can really see as I wipe the glaze back with a shop towel that you can see where it just kind of, the glaze sits in those little grooves and it highlights those areas, and it really makes it a totally different look. I can't wait to show my neighbor. My neighbor gave me this lamp and told me that it wasn't even pretty when he bought it, and now it's been, I don't know, 20 years later, but it was an ugly lamp as far as he was concerned, and he was going to throw it away. And so I was happy to take it, and he didn't think I could do anything with it, so I can't wait to show it to him. But this base of the lamp is really, it just changes the whole look of everything and just accents those details in the wood. And it went from this boring lamp that was a hunter green color that my neighbor was about to throw away to this new fabulous look using the decoupage paper by Roycycled Treasures. I encourage you, grab a lamp out of your basement, your attic, maybe it's something that you have in your Goodwill giveaway pile, and try this. Decoupaging is so much fun, and I love the way this turned out. The colors in this and the burlap shade that I added just really have the whole project come together. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to my page.